Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the Illustrated Underground.
Episode 3. We are here with the TikToker Cozmik Collector, the GOAT.
What's up?
And we're very excited to be with him here. And we're gonna do an episode about like content creation a little bit and just talking about the community and our thing.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So,
Yeah.
Cosmic, first of all, tell us just like your story with comics, like, any like formative comics, characters that have resonated with you.
So I started collecting comics when I was younger. Not super heavy. It was kind of just like here and there. I picked up like I was like 12 when I picked up my first comic book. Because I've been watching, animated shows, movies, all the comic book media except for comic books up to that point. So I was like, time to tap in. And so I like picked up a Deadpool comic, got some single issues, and that was kind of my comic collection for the next 10 years. And then the Batman came out in 2022, and that was what kind of spiraled like everything. I picked up like one Batman comic and one Batman action figure, and then from there it just spiraled into eternal debt. So
Lots of credit card debt. It's a part of
yeah,
being a
that's kind of
comic collector.
my origin with like starting to collect comics and stuff like that.
So you kind of like built your collection as your TikTok career was kind of going off. So
Yeah, so I started first thing I started doing was haul videos. Was just like, oh, got some new action figures, oh, got some new comics, and I would just do a little haul video. I wasn't like showing my face in them. I'd rare like sometimes my hands would be in them, but it was mostly just like put some music on and like pan the camera. So that was kind of how like my content creation stuff started. Just basically like, hey, I have all this cool stuff. I see other people on TikTok with this cool stuff. Maybe we can like appreciate the cool stuff together. So I was like, I'll give it a go. And yeah, that's kind of how I started doing the content creation.
it's been like a few years from that. And I'm sure you've seen the community like grow a lot or
Mhm.
maybe not grow a lot, go in the opposite direction. But like what are some trends and things you've noticed with the community that's changed over your time making content?
So about 3 years ago, it was kind of like me and like maybe like 10-ish other people. Like there was a comic talk for sure, but in terms of just like the more ground level comic talk, just like not like huge 500,000 to a million follower people talking about comic books, like the pillars of the industry at the time. There was like 10, 11 of us just kind of doing our new comic book day hauls and stuff like that. And since then, it went from 10 of us to the next year, I saw 100 people on my For You page. And now I can't go on my For You page without seeing like 1,000 videos of people doing new comic book day hauls and interacting with each other. And there was definitely a community before, but the growth that I've seen over the last 3 years has been amazing to watch.
Even like in the last like 6 months with like Superman coming out, like that's what kind of
Mhm.
inspired us. Like we're both lifelong comic fans,
Yeah.
and it just has never felt like it's been the right moment to like contribute to the community. But now it's just like so many people are into it, and so many people are getting into it, and we see a lot of stuff where it's just people are kind of gatekeepy about it or not, very kind or polite, and we just kind of wanted to create a space where it's more,
Like safe or whatnot, because we feel that like, and this is what we're gonna get into, like seeing on Comic Talk, like it's very like toxic, like, and we want to kind of
it
break the
can be.
stigma. It can be, yeah, and we want to break the stigma like behind it. Like, yo, if you're a new comic reader, that's fine. Like that we can learn from each other. That like, yo, we're not like always experts. We don't know like, yo, like for example, like just like about certain characters, like what they can do. Like we just want to be able to like, grow and learn and also like just promote that within the community, kind of like that it's really we're chill, relaxed, but also too like we love comics just like as much as the next person, but at the same time too, it's just yo, we want to like talk about what we love, share what we love, but also just really like do it in a way that like brings along new fans, gets people interested into comics, and also too as people learn or whatnot and build community.
No, I 100% agree. I think every space has its like toxicity, obviously.
Yeah.
Like doesn't matter what fandom it is, it's always gonna have that kind of, and the comic book community is a lot like louder in other like senses and stuff like that. But no, I agree. I think creating a community where everyone feels like they can, even if they're like a brand new reader who's never picked up a book, feel like they can come into the community, read a comic book and feel like, welcomed. And I always tell people like you don't have to read comic books to be a fan of superheroes. Like I didn't read a comic book
I
Exactly.
until I
love
was
that.
like 12 or 13 years old. I love superheroes since I was, I could process what a superhero was. So just because they're, maybe like 20, 25 years old and picking up their comic book for the first time, it does not make you, who's been reading comic books for 10 years, more of a fan. You know what I'm saying? I think everyone
We're
likes
all in
to
this together.
compare and
Exactly.
want to be like better at some sense. And I think that's where the toxicity comes from. We're all just comic book fans who love superheroes. I think that's the best way to look at it.
Yeah, and your content definitely like you do a really good job of having stuff that appeals to people that really like understand the lore of these characters, but also stuff that's very easy and entry level for people that are just getting into it. And that's what we really appreciate
Yeah.
about your content. So, what is your proudest moment as a content creator? What do you think is have you seen something from the community that's been like, oh wow, I'm really proud of this?
I think the coolest thing was seeing all like the people like shouting new comic book day. I think that's like the proudest moment. Like I said, when I first started, there was no one doing this. But then now I can go on my For You page and just see, thousands of new comic book fans showing off their new comic book day haul, supporting their local comic shop. On a more personal level, my proudest moment was honestly at New York City Comic Con last month. I was in line at a booth for Dan Mora, and this like 10-year-old kid runs up on me and he's like, I love your content. I love the stuff that you make. Just like being really nice and just showing love for the content. And I was like, it hit me in that moment that like my content doesn't just affect like people my age. It's hitting the younger generations and it's getting, you know, the younger people into comic books, which is going to continue to grow the industry. And I think that was a moment where I was like, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah, like in our last episode, we went to a comic book shop and it was just all we talked a lot about like these like cycle moments where you create like you were birthed as a comic book fan and then you're creating more comic book fans and it's just like it's just such a beautiful thing about the community to see like the young people, I don't know, getting into it because people forget that comics like they're for not that they're for kids, but like you know, kids
Kids
should be
can
able to
enjoy
enjoy
them.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think people because there's this whole stigma, back in the day where comics are only for kids, and then people shifted to compensate and be like, oh, now they're only for adults. Or some people have that mindset.
Yeah. When really there's so many comic books out there that there's one out there for everyone. Whether
Yeah.
your favorite, you're a different age group, you have a different genre preference. Maybe you don't like superheroes. There's tons of comic books out there that aren't superhero oriented, and you can just read a really great story, appreciate some really great art, and I think that's the beautiful thing about comics.
I recently saw that you made a video like talking about. I know it was talking about like if Jordan Peele were to direct a like horror movie like character or something like that, like who would it be? And this question's kind of similar to that. So like, would do you have like a dream like comic book character or like I guess a dream like comic book creator to interview with or whatnot?
Luckily, through the last couple years, I've been able to go to a lot of cons and meet a lot of the people that I've always wanted to meet. In terms of just like the comic book space, writers and artists. I've met my favorite writers, my favorite artists. There is one who keeps eluding me. His name is Mark Wade. So if you're watching this, come to a
Oh,
convention so I can meet you.
yeah,
Um,
Mark Wade's
you know,
definitely watching this.
yeah, I've met like James Tynion and Tom Taylor, Scott Snyder, all these huge pillars, and like especially in DC, and have not met Mark Wade. I would love to meet him and talk to him one day because I love everything that I've read by him.
He's big right now. He's doing work right now for DC. I mean, I think he kind of single-handedly brought DC out of a rut in terms of the comics and with like World's Finest and stuff, just brought around. I think I've been reading comics for like 10 years. I think this is the best era of comics I've ever seen in my entire life. Like I think we're experiencing like some of the best comics coming out that I've seen in a really long time in terms of DC. I mean, I
I
read
agree.
mostly
Yeah.
DC, but it's very
It's
good
a
stuff
it's a,
coming
it's
out
like a
right now.
DC renaissance right now too, because with the success of the Superman movie, we're just going to see the movies getting more popular. We're going to get the shows. We now have comic books which are popping right now, and then you have like the games, which hasn't really like taken off yet, but with success, hopefully it'll influence them to make that Flash game and bring back that Wonder
Yes.
Woman.
Anything other than the Wonder Woman game that got canceled. That is,
Oh,
Dude,
really?
yeah,
yeah, they were
yeah,
making a Wonder Woman game.
yeah. They patented the Nemesis system and then just aren't using it.
Yeah.
So that's
Mm.
Yeah, it was the guys that made like this Lord of the Rings game, Shadow of Mordor. They were going to make a Wonder Woman game, and it was
Okay.
going to probably be really cool. And then
Mhm.
DC canceled it because they love canceling great stuff, like the Batman Beyond movie too.
Batman Beyond animated movie with the creators of Into the Spider-Verse.
Yo, that was yeah, that was a miss. Yeah.
And the fact that they showed
They
us the
hate making
art
money.
just made it worse.
Like Terry needs to get done like right, man. Like for real. Especially I know in Absolute, like didn't they replace him with Tim? I don't know if I'm like
Mm.
tweaking,
in
but
the
like
in the current Justice League Unlimited,
yes.
yeah, they used Tim's Batman Beyond instead of Terry's. Um,
Yeah. I'm like, yo, come on.
Yeah, they
but
gotta.
they are, if you like Terry, there just came out yesterday. Actually, it's the Static in
Static
Batman
Shock.
Beyond.
Yup.
Yeah, it was a
Yes.
really good
I
first
have to
issue.
tap in. Yeah. I've been so like behind recently with comics and like mostly I'm trying to weave my way back into DC. Like this is
He's
y'all
the Marvel guy.
I'm,
I'm the DC.
yeah. I mean, I love DC.
All
Like, we'll
right, all
definitely
right.
get into that. But like, I still like have love for DC. It's just more so for me, Marvel. I'm a big X-Men fan, but I still love. I still got to show love to DC. My man, Nightwing, my favorite.
Yeah, there you go. I'm the same way, just the complete opposite. I'll
Yeah.
like tap into some Marvel, but like I'm strictly usually DC.
So you're also like a figure collector. So that's kind of like where
Mhm.
I saw your original content. You would get like all the McFarlanes and stuff. So like what are some of your favorite comic book figures and what makes a really good comic book figure?
I used to collect Marvel Legends, not really much anymore. I'm trying to get rid of them, so I mostly focus on McFarlane's. In terms of my favorites, I have a Mafex, or not Mafex,
Mm.
a Mezco Robert Pattinson Batman. So it has
Mm.
like the cloth goods and everything, which is really cool. But like some of my favorite McFarlanes are mostly just like Batman figures. Like I have the Nightfall one where he's like all kind of beat up. It has the wired cape.
Oh, it's
From
such a good one.
Yeah, that one's good. The Hush one where he has like the kryptonite ring and the blue and gray. I'm really big fan of I have a Deathstroke figure from like Rebirth that I think has like really good just like posability, which is really cool. But in terms of what makes a good figure, me personally, like I'm not like I don't like make a lot of posing videos or anything like that. So like posability isn't super important to me. I want to like collect all the characters that I love. So if
Mm.
it looks like the character and it could fit in my little like display shelf, that's kind of usually what I look for. Just whatever characters I don't have yet.
And McFarlane's so good for that because the nobody is safe. They've been doing literally everybody. I mean,
Everyone.
yeah, like if you like a character, chances are McFarlane has done a decent figure of
They're
them,
trying to get it all out the way before they lose the licensing,
which
which
is
is so
scary.
annoying.
Yeah.
Do we know who's getting it after them?
It's Mattel.
Oh, gee.
So it's the ones making they're the ones who made the old DC figures that suck,
Yeah.
but they're the ones
Yeah.
making the current WWE action figures. So in terms of like articulation, they'll be better probably, and like the scale will be to Marvel Legends, so that'll be easier for collectors to put all their figures together. The only problem is it's just not going to have that detail that McFarlane had.
Todd does the sculpts. Like those sculpts are
Yeah.
just so
Yeah.
good.
No.
I mean the pose. I don't really care. I'm the same. I don't really care about posability because it's like to me they're like they're sitting on my shelf. I'm not really like I'm not really good with that either. But they're very good. I think I have the Nightfall, the gray suit Batman. That's like my
Mhm.
favorite Batman action figure ever. Yeah, his Nightfall sculpt is very good.
What character do you think you could be able to nail in a comic book run? Like just write overnight and tell about them.
Me personally, who I would write?
Yeah, you got like 100 issues.
Yeah.
Well, I do write comics a little bit. I'm working on a couple fan projects. I have a Red Hood book that I'm working on with a writer buddy of mine named Jack. He's almost done with like the first 6 pages, which is really fun. So I've been really enjoying writing Jason. Jason's really easy because you just have to not write him the way he's been written the last 10 years. And you're yeah, and basically you have a hit. So I've been really liking writing him because as a comic book fan, I know what I would like to see from the character. So it kind of helps a lot. I've been working on a Grifter Zealot like one shot from the Wildcats because I'm a big fan of like the Image Wildcats.
I saw that on your Instagram. The guy doing the art for that is crazy good. It's like Dan
Yeah.
Mora level. Like he's really good.
Yeah, his name's Luke. Luke Dockery. He is insane. I think he did that in a little over a week, like all 15
Wow.
pages in like 8 days. He just started coloring. My roommate Nate, he's doing the lettering, and I've already started writing like the sequel. So I've been kind
So
of like
cool.
every day I've been on this mindset of just get my content done and then just write for a couple hours so I can, exercise that muscle. And I don't know if I can like have a meeting on tomorrow to write a one shot for like an already established like indie publisher.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about that. But I guess to answer the question, it would be probably Red Hood. I'm the biggest Batman fan on the planet, but for some reason I've never had like this like want to write Batman. I think it's just because like I've gotten everything out of him that I've wanted over the past 24 years of my life. I can't think of any new stories to tell, but
Yeah, like I'm a Batman fan too, and I agree with you. It's just you don't touch him. Everything that you would want to do has been done probably better.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
he's such
and
an exercise character. I'm a big writer, like I'm a creative writing minor, so like I'm just big on writing, and I just think it's people don't appreciate it enough, especially with comics. I think people talk about the art a lot. People don't talk enough about what goes into writing. So like that's how is it to go transition from being a fan and then to actually writing your own stuff? Like how does it start as just like, oh yeah, like I would like to see Red Hood do this, this, and this, and then go from there, or like
so it's I went to college for film initially, and I was not like some wizard behind the camera. I didn't want to be like a director or anything like that. I was just constantly writing scripts, like just script writing, whatever I thought of. I would just throw in a script and I'd hammer out a pilot and give it to my film teacher. But that was kind of my favorite part was writing it. So transitioning into comics, it was kind of weird because I don't know if ever seen like how a movie script is written. It's
yeah,
completely different with like comic book scripts because for a movie you're writing for movement, you're writing for shots and everything like that. For comics you're picking the best part of the movement to put in the panel, the most captivating like aspect of the entire movement to still frame it. So like that was probably the hardest part, was like transitioning my mind from film writing over to comic writing. In terms of the ideas, yeah, I just like think of a character like it'd be really cool if they did this with them, and I'm like, why don't I just write that? And so
yeah, that's really cool because I never really like I. It's cool to see the behind the scenes because I never really thought about what a comic book script like looks like
Yeah.
before the artist is drawing it out. And you're not, the artist is taking liberties, but also like the writer is kind of creating what the artist is creating. So it's a lot of
Like
creativity
panel
that
by
has.
panel and all that. Yeah. Because I love to write too. And like, I want to be a comic book writer soon. So it's like, is there any advice you would offer to aspiring comic book writers, artists?
just like envisioning what it would look like. What I always do is I like draw out a page and then I do the paneling, like in terms of what I would want the panels to look like. And then in my head, I think of the picture that would go in that panel and I kind of write that out.
Okay.
Um, and it kind of just depends on the artist you're working with because Jack, the Red Hood comic, the guy I'm working with, the Red Hood comic, I did the whole drawing out process. I put the panels out. I showed him which panel, like how I wanted the panels, how I wanted them standing in it. For Luke, it was more of just like letting the writer take creative liberty. I was like, I'd be way less descriptive. This character is looking at this character, and I let him kind of do what he wanted with that. I didn't do specifically like 90-degree angle of this character looking with a certain kind of facial expression while this character's in this position. You kind of just have to trust your artist if you want to do it that way.
The relationship between the writer and the artist is so cool. And like
Yeah.
we kind of talked about in our last episode, like it's these like matches made in heaven between like writers and artists that create these like great stories. And it's not just like I'm not the biggest fan of the Hush storyline personally, because I feel
Mm.
like it's kind of two people that are I don't think it's bad. It's just not for me because it's feels like two people that didn't really want to work together being forced to work together because they were the two biggest comic book creators at the time. And there's some of that problem with the original Hush, but it definitely shows really a lot with Hush 2, I think, and everybody in the community is
Yeah.
just kind of disappointed in that. But like, it's just like you can't force these things. So like, what are some of your favorite duos? Artists.
Oh, that's good. Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo were up
Oh
there.
Yeah.
They were my intro into, like my spiral into comics. I started with the Court of Owls and it kind of went from there. So I got to go with them. I love James Tynion and Jorge Jimenez. They were on a
mm,
lot of Batman stuff together. Same with Dan Mora and Mark Waid. I think they're phenomenal.
so good.
Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale are classic. All their color series, Long Halloween, Dark Victory. I think those are really good. Who else would I say? I think as much as I don't like his Wonder Woman. I do think Tom King and Mitch Gerards work really well together, like on Mr. Miracle, and I've heard Strange Adventures is good.
Yeah, those are really good ones. Tom King, I mean, he gets a lot of hate within the community, but I think his stuff is like Mr. Miracle is a great book.
Yeah.
Like
Mr.
that book
Miracle is a
is
great book. Yeah, I think it's I heard someone say is give Tom King 6 issues, he'll write a great 6 issues. Give Tom King 50 issues, he'll write a great 6 issues. Love his Batman run. Do not rock with his Wonder Woman run whatsoever.
yeah, it's rough. It's rough. I read the
Yeah.
first volume of it and I was like, all right, I can't do
See, the
this.
first volume I was okay. Like I was chilling, but it's like it gets progressively worse throughout time. Like right now, it's probably the worst it's been.
He's still on Wonder Woman?
Yeah.
Wow. Yikes. Is somebody replacing him soon?
Stephanie Williams was supposed to or there we thought that she was
She's
replacing
good.
him, but it's
Yeah.
just for 2 issues.
Oh,
She's was the one in charge of all the Nubia titles.
Yeah.
And she did phenomenal with Nubia and the Amazons. So when they announced her, I was like, finally, someone who knows the Amazons and who can write Wonder Woman really well. And then they're like, oh no, it's just for 2 issues. And I'm like, oh
why do they do that?
great. Great.
Yeah, I don't know. Tom King's a character because I think what a lot of the reasons why people don't like him, well, like political stuff, with his past and whatever, but also like he doesn't write like he writes his own version of every character. Like I've never read a Tom King book and been like, oh yeah, that is like perfectly comic accurate, like, Mr. Miracle or like Supergirl. But like his own versions of these characters are fun sometimes. And it's like I like to see those fresh takes in the characters. And like sometimes, people complain about Mr. Miracle not being true to like the New Gods, like lore or whatever, but like I don't think a lot of people would know about the New Gods if it wasn't for that book, especially newer readers.
Yeah.
Like, it's an important one.
No, I agree. I think it's like it's one of those things where it's like how I said I kind of pick a character and I find something I want to do with that character. Tom King kind of does the exact opposite. He finds something he wants to do and then he picks a character to do it with.
Yeah,
That's
no, I
kind of
see what you're saying. Like he
he
has
mentally
these.
goes, I want to tell this story. What character should I use? And then that's kind of what he does with Supergirl, Mr. Miracle, etc.
I wish he would do like scary stuff more. Like, I don't know if you've read his Vision on Marvel, but like he really nailed like the horror vibe very well with that book. And I don't really think he's done. I haven't read Strange Adventures, but that might have a little bit of horror vibes in it. But he's good with like horror and like scary stuff.
Oh, Danger Street is pretty good. I don't know if you read that. It's definitely not horror, but it has some horror elements to it. It's like 2 volumes. It's pretty good. I think it came out a couple years ago.
What is the most exciting news that you've like been able to make a video about, like deliver to the community? Like when something got announced, what was the most hype thing that you were like, oh my God, I'm like running to make a video right now?
Absolute Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100. It was the absolute universe in general, but like specifically Absolute Batman #1. Reading that first issue and like getting finished reading and going like I can't wait to show people this. Like this is awesome. That was probably one of the coolest moments.
Yeah, Batman's been doing great right now. Between that and like his Matt Fraction stuff has
I know
been
you've been talking about that.
seriously elite. Yeah, you got to read it.
It's really good. It's very similar to Paul Dini, to where it's like episodic. So like
Yeah,
every
I
issue
like
is like its
Paul
own thing, but it kind of has like that overarching story, which I think is so cool.
Yeah, it's so good. And the I don't want to spoil it, but like the main villain that they chose is not somebody who you would expect, and it's very fresh. Matt Fraction's good at doing that. He's very like respectful to the characters, but also like he really does his own thing. I just read his Jimmy Olsen run. So good.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't read it yet though.
Yeah, it's really everything he reads, I'm like not that I'm not expecting it to be great, but it surprises me how good it is. Like his Hawkeye is probably like one of my favorite Marvel stories ever. I mean,
I've heard that. I really need to read it.
It's so good. There's some really good. He does a lot of cool stuff with like sensory stuff in that one because Hawkeye's deaf, so he's hearing impaired. So there's a lot of like silent issues. There's like this one issue that's like from the perspective of a dog, and like whenever like the speech bubbles pop up, it's like all like jarbled. Like you don't really know what they're saying. It's like
that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Look, was it the pizza dog?
Yeah, Pizza Dog.
Yeah, Pizza Dog.
Yeah, he's a goat. It sucks that the show was not that the show like took a lot of inspiration from
Yeah, it
it.
took a lot of, but it didn't like live to its full extent. I felt, as opposed to like the comic. I mean, yeah, it took those elements like the pizza dog, him like the New York kind of like backdrop and stuff like that. But like, I don't know, I didn't really see. I don't know about you, but
Yeah.
or you yourself when you watched it, but I really didn't see that like much parallels. I've heard like that run is like
Yeah,
phenomenal.
the show doesn't really
Yeah,
take much from it. It's just like,
yeah,
oh, we're gonna throw the style on it so that comic
yeah,
book fans
yeah.
watch.
Oh, and they reference like, oh, that's what happened,
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about the DCU and everything going forward with James Gunn? I mean, I don't know if you've watched Peacemaker, but like, how are you feeling about everything that's come out so far?
I love it. I think, you hit the ground running with Creature Commandos. You did like that ragtag group of characters. You kickstarted your DC animation, which I think where DC has shined consistently for the last, you know, 25 years is just animation.
Yes.
They've obviously done great live action too, but they've been consistently good at that. So, kicking off the DCU with like an animated show, showing that you can do like a unique style was really cool. And then going to Superman and taking a character that we haven't really seen a super accurate depiction of and doing it so well and filling the movie with that hope and those values that Superman represents, to the point where kids are dressing up as him for Halloween again. That's important. I think the world needs more Superman. So to do that and then go to Peacemaker season 2, which isn't my favorite of the DCU projects. I didn't hate it at all. I thought it was really good. I liked that it was more character focused. I wasn't like bummed that there wasn't some big cameo at the end. I do wish there was more to every episode. Like I do think the episodes consistently got shorter and shorter. Like maybe an
Yeah,
extra 15 to 20 minutes an episode.
I
Throw
agree.
some more action in it.
Yeah, especially
But
towards the
I
end.
liked the show a lot. I think I gave it like an 8 out of 10. It was still really great. It had a lot of great moments, and it set up Salvation Run. I think he's doing great. He can definitely embody he knows how to put heart into these characters, and he also knows when to not do a character. And he's like, this one's not for me. I'm giving it to someone else. And
Yes.
I think that's really important. I think Supergirl is going to be the real test of whether the DCU is going to succeed, because everyone thought Superman was that test, but Superman is like Batman. You make a movie or a show about Superman or Batman, it's gonna people are gonna watch it.
Yeah.
Supergirl is gonna be that real test of, are people gonna watch this property if it's not one of the big three? And I think Supergirl is gonna be great.
Out of everything that DC has announced for the future, it could be a comic, it could be a show, it could be a game.
Honestly, like I'm very excited about the DCU, obviously, whatever video games are coming. But as like a huge like comic fan, I'm so excited for like the next era of DC Comics after DCK. I think DCKO is going to be an amazing event. And then we're getting Next Level, which is going to have all those new titles. People will complain how DC uses the same characters all the time and doesn't give people their own titles. And I think that's so untrue. I think every like 5 years they pump out like 15 titles for these characters that you wouldn't think you're getting would get titles. So I think people like need to go and pick them up, and that's how we keep getting them. Like we're getting Firestorm, Etrian, Deathstroke. Barbara Gordon's getting her own series.
So
Batwoman's
good.
getting a series again. I think Next Level is going to be DC really testing the waters with how many of these iconic characters, like will people actually pick up these solo series if we push them out? And I really hope people do, because they all look like they're going to be really good.
Is Greg Rucka's back on Batwoman again, right? Or
Yeah, Greg Rucka and Danny is the artist.
yeah,
Spin the cook.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
he's great.
I'm
I love
very
his
excited
Wolverine
about
one,
the
so yeah.
I'm very excited about the artist, because Danny did the art on Arkham City, Order of the World. I don't know if y'all read that.
I
It's
have
by
to read
Dan.
that one. It's on my
Yeah,
list.
it's by Dan Waters. It's phenomenal, and the art is like haunting, and it works really well.
It's based on the game, right? Like it's in that
No,
universe.
no,
No?
no. It's based in main continuity. It follows the Ten-Eyed Man, um, as he kind of like uncovers like the mystery of like Gotham, but it's about like a psychiatrist who's trying to help the Ten-Eyed Man, and he kind of drags her into all this stuff with other villains and like the underground. Okay, it's really weird, but it's really really good.
It sounds right up my alley. Because before I was just kind of like, oh, it's a book within the Arkham universe that's like good, and I wasn't like, but knowing that's really cool. And I like when they take like an obscure villain like that and they kind of put him at the forefront. Because like Ten-Eyed Man, like
Yeah.
who's writing stories about Ten-Eyed Man? That's crazy.
Dan Waters, and he's doing it amazingly. It's
Yeah, I know DC's also bringing Vertigo back, which is like really, really
Yeah.
good. I think they needed to. Black Label has been messy for as long as it's been around, because it's like kind of like, what is it? Is it superhero stuff? Is it not superhero stuff? So I'm really excited to also see Vertigo
Yeah.
come back to kind of give Black Label and Vertigo their own room to breathe.
I am excited though, speaking of Black Label, because I know Question, Green Arrow, and Batman are doing their own little thing soon. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
that's still the thing, but I know like I'm excited for that because I love the Question. I love, Batman. But like I love that like that culmination of character. I feel like it's gonna be like actually like, fun, really just it's gonna be interesting. And I'm really looking forward to that. But I am also looking forward to a lot of the Vertigo stuff or whatnot, and even tapping into that because like I know we want to do an episode like on Vertigo or whatnot in the coming,
There's a
time.
lot of good stuff.
There's a lot of good stuff. And like this, even seeing like the influence of like, comic talk and just like, oh, like, people like with a post like, oh, trust me, bro, read this. And like, like Hellblazer or like Shade the Changing Man, right? Like the art in those two and like the story and like the commentary like just pulls you in. So I'm like, I gotta check this out. I gotta check this out.
I'm also excited for the Batman Green Arrow question. I think it's Arcadia.
Oh, okay.
It looks really cool because they're going to be like it's going to have like a lot of commentaries on like global warming and like climate control and you have three different characters with completely different ideologies in Green Arrow, Question, and Batman, and I think those are going to clash a lot, especially when dealing with a topic like that. So I think that'll be really cool to see. I want to say it comes out next week, but it might be 2 weeks. But it's
Ooh,
definitely
that's
soon.
fair. So you gotta check
Yeah.
that out. Yeah, that's really exciting. I really, people are always like, it's, a lot of people talk about it, but it's like, oh, comics are complaining about comics being political, but I think it's so important that they have been leaning more, not afraid to be as political recently. And like, especially with this, everything going on in this day and age, like, I think it's really cool to see
Yeah.
comics taking more of a stand with stuff like that instead of shying away from it. Especially like
I,
Superman, like that was just straight up like political allegory at some points.
No,
Yeah.
I agree, and I think a lot of people like to say, "Oh, the comic books are doing this now," but comic books have always been a medium for that.
Yeah.
Superheroes have always been a medium for that. It's about a person being more than themselves and putting themselves on the line to help their neighbor. That's the key value of a superhero. So I don't think they've just started doing it. I just think people are becoming more aware. I think it's important, like you said, that they keep doing that because you're showing people that these things are important and the heroes that you are reading would do it this way, so you should also do it this way. You know what I'm saying? Like you should help your neighbor. You should want to feed the homeless. You should want people to have health care. Like it's very
Yes.
important things because these are things that Superman would himself would want to do. And I think that's important to show kids.
Yeah, because they're looking to these characters as like inspirations and stuff. I like the one thing that I think is the Daniel Warren Johnson thing that he made, the art, which like
Yeah.
just shook like the whole community. Most people were excited about it. Some people were. I mean, I think I saw like Chuck Dixon did like a really
Yeah.
Oh God.
obnoxious. Yeah, he's the worst. But it's very cool to see. I mean, Daniel Warren Johnson's like the best, one of the best artists doing it right now, if not the
Yeah.
best. So seeing him be as successful as he is and be openly political. I think it's just more I've grown like cynical of these like big corporations and companies not like trying to play it safe and not really going to these places. Like I think
Yeah.
at some points if a writer or an artist put out something like that image, they would get fired off their run, which should not be the case. But I'm just
Mhm.
glad that he could put stuff out there like that and get support still from the community because it's
Yeah,
just
that's
the
the
real.
problem. That's what I think the craziest thing is about the Batman annual is there was nothing political about it. It was
Yeah,
just
no.
Batman beating up white supremacists, which isn't political in any form or fashion. It's just Batman being a hero and beating up horrible people, which is what he's been doing since he first debuted. So to take that and go like, "Oh, are we making it political now?" No, you're just associating yourself with the villain. And I think that's the problem.
Yeah, it's a great way of putting it because these characters are like reflections of reality. People see themselves in them. So like when somebody says something like that, like yeah, you're with the
Yeah.
villain, you're with
Yeah,
Joker,
you're
whatever.
picking the wrong side, dog.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I definitely agree. What is something that you would see more comic book fans consider just within the community? Like what is something you see that you want more people to think about? It could be, how they treat each other or like the stuff they're reading or like going to your local comic book shop, like anything.
Educate, don't like ostracize, basically.
Yes.
Like if someone doesn't know something, you don't have to talk down to them. You don't have to call them like names or saying that they're not, a real fan. You don't need to, boo them out of the community. You educate them. You tell them, where they can find certain books that will help them understand. You show them comics they might like. Maybe they don't like an iconic comic. I don't like The Dark Knight Returns. I
That's
don't like
fair.
Frank Miller's Batman. A lot of people love it. They think it's one of the most iconic Batman stories of all time. I don't like it. I've had so many people call me a fake fan because I don't like it. And which is fine. Like it doesn't get to me, but I think less stuff like that. I think instead of saying, "Oh, you don't like this book, you're a fake fan," or how about you don't like this book, I understand why. Here's another book that I think you might like that will get you into Batman and not this one. It's okay to not like books. Let's just bring more people into the community, stop pushing people out. We don't need to gatekeep things.
I
Like the
agree.
whole Nightwing Halloween costume thing.
Oh,
I don't
Yeah.
care. I don't care if you've read every Nightwing comic on the face of the planet or not a single, you haven't consumed a single shred of Nightwing media at all. You both have equal right to wear those costumes.
I
Um,
completely agree. It's
yeah,
just cool to see people
dressing
recognizing
up
these.
as DC characters.
Yeah.
Because like even if they don't read a comic book or they don't plan to, someone might have walked past and goes, "Who's that character?" And they go Nightwing. It's like, "Oh, the comic book character." They're like, "Yeah." And like, I'm gonna go check them out. I'm gonna go read them now. And that's just bringing more awareness to the characters that we love, which is in turn bringing more people to the industry. And I think it's a cycle.
Yeah, I saw a video recently that was just kind of saying that like it was an older comic book fan and he was talking about how like people nowadays they don't realize how lucky they are to live in a time where comics are like you're not getting like I mean some people definitely do but like you're not getting bullied for being into comics as much nowadays
Mhm.
as it was in the past, but then it's like now it's there's these people that have this mindset of like, well, I was picked on for this as a kid, so why are the people that picked on me getting into comics?
Yeah.
And like it just kind of leads them down this path of being very gatekeepy. And I notice it specifically is targeted towards women a lot of the time. That like
Yeah,
I just don't think there's such thing as a fake fan. If you have
Exactly.
read a single comic in your life and you enjoyed it, you're a comic book fan. People don't have
I
that
agree.
mindset with movies. Like if you don't like or haven't seen a certain movie, people are like, oh, there's a lot of movies. You still could be a movie fan. But with comics, it's like, oh, if you don't like Batman Year One or if you don't like Dark Knight Returns, you're not a real comic book fan. And that's just such a not good sentiment because there's we went to a comic book store to interview an owner last episode, and he doesn't like superhero comics at all. He reads every other kind of comic, just not superheroes, and that's he's still a fan. I mean, he
Yeah.
owns a comic book store, but like, I'm sure there's people that like if they saw something like that on TikTok would be really quick in the comments, being like, "Oh, fake fan! Like, what are you doing?"
Yeah, I really
Yeah.
don't like appreciate that too within the community. Like, oh, you haven't read this much of a character. Oh, like you watched the superhero TV shows, not the comics. Like, I feel like yo, that's BS. You're still a comic book fan. You're still a superhero fan. Like, vice versa. You love the medium. You love the storytelling. You love the characters. You're a fan. Like, no matter what. Welcome to the club. Join. Like, I hate when I see people like just saying that. Like, oh, I know much more than you. Instead of like, okay, well, hey, let me talk to you more about this character. Let me show you more about this character. Like instead of like using that, you were saying like to educate, like how you like, sometimes like fans will like, say, oh, can you give me your favorite like Robin run or like Robin recommendations or whatnot for comics? And like, you'll be like, all right, I got you. Like, oh, start here, start, there. And like, I feel like that's what like is needed within the community. Just like, yo, like, teaching, learning, and even like that, it's okay not
Yeah.
to know or whatnot. Or it's okay, like, that you don't know this run or what happened. That's fine. And as long as you like the characters or the mediums you're consuming, whether that's the books or the TV shows, the movies, the video games, you're still a fan, a comic book fan, no matter what of that character. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and
I
this
to touch on something you said, the biggest thing is it's okay to not know something.
yeah,
I've
exactly.
been reading comic books nonstop for 3 years. I probably don't even know half of the DC like lore or histories of characters. I'm learning new things every single day. And so I love when people ask me questions because then I'm 90% of the time I don't know the answer to the question. I then get to go and research and learn about that, and I get to then go, this is why this character is like this, or this is what this run's about. And I think that's how we should, address people who don't know something. Because I do the same thing. I'm like, I don't know this character. I'm going to look it up, or I'm going to ask someone who might know. Um, And if they're like very chill about it and they're like, oh, this is this, this, and this, it makes me more receptive to the information, makes me want to learn more. And I think that's what we need to do as a community is, yeah, not push people out because they don't know something.
Yeah, for sure.
And your content is very like I feel like nurturing to the community, and I really like that there are so many content creators that within comic books that just have this like I'm the comic book professor, I know everything, I know
Yeah.
more than my audience.
No, I I
And
don't
like
pretend to know anything.
it's refreshing to see somebody that's learning and growing. Like like I said, I've been reading comics for a very long time. I don't know shit. Like I've read so much Batman, and I've kind of for a lot of the time was afraid to step out of that, and then but like I don't know anything, so it's just like and then doing this podcast is like I view it as a chance to learn and grow as a
Yeah.
comic book fan. It's it's just really cool to see your perspective that you really care about the community and but also learning yourself. I don't know. It's a good duality
Yeah.
there.
And I love how your content also bridges like for new fans and also like the fans that have been like the lifelong fans. I love like that like connection, like it bridges like those gaps and brings them together. So I really love that it does that.
If your content had this is kind of what we're talking about now, but if your content had a message or like a mission statement, what would it be? Like, what's your goal as a content creator? It's a loaded question.
Um, I feel like I'm gonna sound like the Chick-fil-A cow, but just read more comics. Like not in like a condescending way. I just mean like read more comics. Go out, buy them, enjoy them, or read them for free online, or get a subscription service, or preferably support your LCS. But if
Yes.
if you're not close to an LCS, get a subscription service. Just enjoy the movies, the games, the comic books. Then take that enjoyment and tell a friend, so that that friend can tell a friend, so that the entire world can experience the hobby that I love so much and that y'all love so much. Um, it's just that's my mission. It's just spread my love for comics to everyone that I possibly can.
That is awesome. That is very like simple and well said. Let's knock off some like basic questions and talk about, let's talk about comic. So what is your favorite comic book of all time?
My favorite like individual comic is Batman Under the Red Hood. My favorite
Okay.
series is like Deceased as like a whole. But
Ooh.
if I had to pick one, I'm on a deserted island. I can only have one for the rest of my life. I'm going with Under the Red Hood.
Oh, that's a
Mm.
Under the Red is a really
Yeah.
good comic. That is a classic.
For sure.
Got good art too.
Yeah, and I always say it, that I like that, and I like for me like the perfect representation of Red Hood from how he's been done recently. I feel like that, and then Red Hood: The Lost Days.
Lost Days was great. Lost Days
Lost
was
Days.
really
That's
good.
pretty much when he like he died. Like he kind of like it's just days I think leading up to Under the Red Hood.
Yeah, it is from the time when he like was resurrected
Yeah,
to the time that he literally popped up in Batman and the Red Hood. It's all that kind of
yeah.
it fills in that time period.
When did that come out?
Oh
Is
shoot,
it older or
2016. The trade came out in
maybe.
2016.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, but yeah, it's pretty much you see him cross ties with the League of like Talia, Rat Ray,
Oh, that's really
It's
cool.
yeah,
and it's the same writer as Under the Red Hood, Judd Winnick. So it kind of like it transitions really well.
Ooh, I gotta read that. Because
yeah.
Just
I like Red Hood. He's an interesting character, but like you said, he just is not written that well. Like,
recently,
yeah,
yeah.
like he's just become like not what the original. I don't know. I think that you could let me know what you think about this. I think he needs to go back to being kind of a villain for a little bit, and then have
I,
like a reset after.
I don't think it matters whether he's a hero, villain, or anti-hero. They just need to pick. They need to stop
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
progressing, regressing, progressing over and over again. It doesn't matter what he is, just like pick one because he's been in this fluctuation of no one knowing what he really is for like 15 years.
Favorite comic book TV show. I'm gonna animated. You could do separately, and then live action because there's too much.
My favorite live action, I really really love Arrow. While
Grew
I'm a
up on
huge
that.
Green Arrow fan in terms of the comics, so I know that that show is not anywhere near accurate to the character,
Yeah.
but it's something that I grew up watching. That and the Flash, and Arrow always just kind of resonated. I think it's because it was a Batman ripoff that it resonated so much with
Yep,
me.
that part.
But no, just the first introductions to like Deathstroke, and after seeing him in Teen Titans growing up, and you know, Malcolm Merlin, the Dark Archer, and just all the storylines that they did with them, and Black Canary, White Canary, Wild Dog coming in, Mister Terrific. It wasn't the best depictions of any of these characters, but it like it's what I grew up on. It's like my live action Justice League Unlimited, basically. My first introduction to these characters as real people and not just animation. So that's kind of what my favorite one is.
And it was big to watch it. I mean, I grew up on Arrow too. I didn't really watch a lot of the other Arrowverse, but especially the first two seasons, had me in like a grip when they were
Oh
coming
yeah.
out. Like they were just.
I was building a salmon ladder in my garage because of it. I was over here
um,
trying the bar.
oh
I was
yeah,
like, yeah, the salmon. I was like, I do not look like Green Arrow. What is he doing to achieve this level of physique right now?
yeah. You just got to go. You got to go train with the League of Assassins. Go snowy mountains and stuff.
I think that might be the move.
What about animated? Animated?
Mm. All time,
Yeah.
it's Teen Titans. I grew up. My two favorite shows growing up were Teen Titans and Ben 10. But since Ben 10, I guess doesn't really count as a comic book show, it was Teen Titans. My first introduction to Dick Grayson is Robin. We had while those are like wildly different depictions of the characters from the comic books, it was so cool to like, again, see all those introductions to those characters and in that like style. That in like the Batman 2004,
Oh, so
it
good.
had so many cool redesigns for characters like the Joker and Mr. Freeze, like designs that I still think about to this day and I wish I could see in comic books. And then of course the like DC like animated universe. So like Batman the animated series, Justice League and Unlimited,
Classic.
Oh yeah.
Superman, yeah, that kind of stuff is what I grew up on.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was into a lot. I feel like a lot of people that grew up in like the early 2000s were into like Teen Titans was just so big. Like
Yeah.
that was that was like what made me realize that like I don't know, I never saw superhero. That changed how I viewed superheroes because I had seen like Batman the animated series, and that stuff is some of my favorite stuff of all time. But when I was a kid, I would watch it, and it felt like not old, but like before my time kind of thing.
Yeah,
And then
that's fair.
seeing like Teen Titans as it just felt like fresh. It was just the
Yeah.
first thing that I watched that was comic related that like was targeted at me.
I
Yeah.
agree. That and Brave and the Bold, Batman Brave and the Bold.
So good.
Yeah, a
You're
bunch
bringing
of
it back.
introductions to characters that, the general audience needed to be like Plastic Man and Blue Beetle and The Question. It was so cool how they would just bring in like everyone. Uh, I think that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was my introduction to like most of those characters, like Wildcat, Blue Beetle, like you said, Booster
Yeah.
Gold, Martian Manhunter. Like, yeah, that was a big one. All right, what is your favorite comic book video game?
I'm very partial to Arkham Knight. I love all the Arkham games, but Arkham Knight's probably the one that I played the most. People like say it's a tank simulator. I love the tank combat. I think like it's kind of biased because it's an adaptation of Under the Red Hood. So like to see that story play out in a little bit of a different way was really cool. So probably that one. Over on Marvel, I kind of got to give it to either the first Spider-Man game or Ultimate Alliance is one of the
Ultimate
ones that I
Alliance
played
is so
nonstop
good.
growing up.
Yeah, Ultimate Alliance is very good. I think with Arkham Knight, I remember when it came out, it had a lot of controversy. But I think now that the dust has kind of settled, people are seeing it like, okay, the Arkham Knight is Red Hood. Like people aren't like too caught up in that, and I think people have been appreciating it more, which I love because it's a great Red Hood
Yeah.
story. It's just like you said, it's under the Red Hood, like
But
just
they're
in a
virgin.
video
In that
game.
universe, yeah.
Yeah, people hate on the Arkham Knight, like oh, it was obviously Jason, but like it's okay. Not everything has to be some crazy reveal, especially when you're working with characters that everyone already knows.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the this or that little segment. Kind of maybe treading on some kind of similar ground, but we'll go through it. So for this is maybe for people that haven't checked out all your content, that just don't know this stuff about you, but Marvel or DC?
DC.
Comic book shows or movies?
I'm gonna go movies.
Movies. Batman or Superman?
Batman.
Green Arrow or Green Lantern?
Green Arrow.
Barry or Wally?
Wally.
All good answers.
Yeah.
Post 2000s comics or pre 2000s comics?
Post 2000s.
Single issues or trade paperbacks?
I'm a big trade guy. I love trades.
Me too. I don't know if I buy single issues mostly just for like display purposes. And I see I've always admired how you display your collection. It's so cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
Spider-Man video games or Batman video games?
That's tough. I mean, I think I have a special place for all the Batman games, but like the only one that really stands up to the Spider-Man games in terms of just like graphics and gameplay is Arkham Knight. I do think they have. I think Spider-Man stories are so good, and I mean, you had like Miles' game, and then you had Spider-Man 2, which was great. I'm gonna go with Batman games just because I'm biased, and that is the only reason why.
That's fair. I think
Yeah.
uh, like my perspective is like I like Batman more as a character, but the Batman games kind of they as much as I love Arkham City and Arkham Knight, like they kind of tread on a lot of similar ground. Like it's Paul Dini writing it, so it's similar stuff from like the animated series and stuff like that. Spider-Man, like the first PlayStation one, is probably like one of the best Spider-Man things to ever come out, like ever. And I feel like it
Yeah,
like broke ground with that character and like did new stuff with him. So that is definitely a hard one. There's
yeah, and the
great
gameplay
aspects.
was phenomenal. Like
Oh
just
yeah.
the interaction with like all the everything around you that you could use, all the gadgets and everything. The Spider-Man games are awesome.
Dark Side or Thanos?
Dark side.
Oh yeah. 100%. So much better. Street level stories or cosmic stories?
I'm a street level guy. I mean, I love cosmic stories, but
Yeah,
at least
me
it's in
too.
the name. But no, yeah, no, I'm street level. I love like all that stuff: Green Arrow, Batman, the Bat Family, even like the stuff that I have dived into in Marvel is like Daredevil and Spider Man and stuff like that. So always drawn more towards the street level.
So we're about to segue into we have like a
Yeah.
DCKO-esque bracket
Mhm.
that we're gonna go through. And well, we were kind of talking about it, like we were like, okay, we want to make everybody kind of in similar like power levels. And we were thinking about like the term street level has so I feel like there's so much. What do you define as street level?
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's
Um,
so much characters that get shoved into that label.
I don't think it matters power level. I think it
Yeah.
matters like because you have Spider-Man who is like super strong, could definitely deal with like these bigger threats than just a mafia boss in the city. But it's these characters that are connected to their city on like a ground sense. Like their villains are very grounded. They themselves are very grounded. And they don't really deal with like anything space wise or anything like worldwide unless they're with a team. And I think that's kind of my mental definition of like street level. Because like obviously you have Superman who still patrols the streets, still saves people on a street level basis. But he's not strictly street level. And I think Batman has started to evolve to not being street level. Same with like Spider Man's getting up there with him being in space so often. Um, you're getting these street level characters who are getting amped in like power and stuff to the point where they're like not really street level anymore. Um, but it's all terminology. I don't usually like read too much into it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's interesting you mentioned that Batman's kind of like change because I noticed that in the Matt Fraction run where he's just kind of like dealing with his villains with like ease almost. And I not that he's dealing with them with ease, but there's like a comfortability between him and his villains now that he's just like instead of just beating like with Killer Croc in the first issue, like instead of just beating the crap out of him, he's just kind of like, hey man, like we do this all the time. Like he's like his coworker almost.
Yeah. Killer Croc's an awesome one too because Matt Fractions runs addressing like a lot of like things like social wise, like
Mhm.
commentaries and whatnot. Killer Croc is so cool because he's always just used as this monstrous villain that Batman knocks out really quick. But he's one of my favorite like Batman villains in terms of like how compelling they are as a character because he's not
Mhm.
always a villain. He's just a guy who's cursed with this lifestyle that he doesn't want to live, but everyone sees him as a monster, so he sees himself as a monster. And I think that's why that issue was so great to me is because Batman really like got down on his level of, you're not a monster, you're a person under there. Let me help you. And I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah, Killer Croc is great. He has a really good story in Joker's Asylum that's like very good at like humanizing him. And I just think people think of him as just a brute that Batman fights, but he goes a lot deeper than that. And I like that they've kind of been going with this theme of like making him slowly becoming more monstrous and like losing his humanity over time. I think that's just an interesting struggle to see him deal with. All right, do you want to pull up the
Cool.
website for the thing we have? All right, we're gonna share our screen and
Okay. Okay. Bracket time.
All right. So for round one, we have Lady Shiva versus the Creeper.
I mean, The creeper is cool because he's like got enhanced speed, strength, and stuff like that after he switches to his creeper form. But Lady Shiva is literally top three more like hand to hand combatant in the DC universe. So that's tough. I don't know. I think Creeper's like durability is probably too high if I had to guess from what I've seen him in. So I'm gonna go Creeper. I just don't think she's gonna be able to catch him.
We have Blue Beetle, Ted Cord versus Metamorpho.
I got Metamorpho. I love Blue Beetle. He's really smart, but he just doesn't have the tech that like Jaime does. And I think Metamorpho is just too OP against someone who doesn't have anything to combat him.
All right. Azrael and Creeper.
Word.
Ooh, that's tough. I mean, Azrael's a character who replaced Batman when he was injured, so like he obviously has that combat level of Batman. He's obviously not Batman, but not to mention the whole like religious connection and the flaming sword and the connection to the Order of Saint Tomas. He has a lot more to him than people think. Um, I got him. I got him cutting the creeper in half. I'm taking Azrael.
All right. Next up, we have Poison Ivy versus Scarecrow.
Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
She's so OP. I mean, anything connected to the green, like an elemental force of the planet, gotta be overpowered. And her current run, I don't know if y'all are reading her current run, it is phenomenal.
I am not, but I've heard very, very good things. Who's writing her current run?
G. Willow Wilson.
Is she the one that's been doing Poison Ivy for a while? Because I know
she's like 40 something issues into it.
Wow.
Yeah, that's Miss Marvel's good. She did Miss Marvel, I believe. I think, right?
She did do Miss Marvel. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
and that's awesome. That's so cool that a character like Poison Ivy has a 40-issue series right now. That's awesome.
It's genuinely because it's so good. Like it's been good since the first issue.
All right. Ooh, this fight. Okay.
That's a kind of tough one.
Booster Gold versus Wildcat. Wildcat. I love Wildcat.
He's
love
good.
Wildcat.
Yeah, I like Wildcat too, and obviously he's a way better fighter than Booster. The only problem is Booster's tech is too insane. He's got the force fields, he can fly, he can shoot from above. Wildcat's not going to be able to reach him. There's not much he can do against what Booster has tech wise. But if Wildcat gets a couple punches in, Booster's down. So I'm just going to take Booster just off of the tech.
Next, we got Black Canary and Detective Chimp. I don't know that much about Detective Chimp. I just thought he would be a good one to throw in there. I remember him from the Lego games, to be honest.
Detective Chimp is people like to say it's Batman, but it's factually Detective Chimp is the best detective in the DC universe. Black Canary is a top 5 combatant. She has the screaming power. He's done for. Black Canary's got the easy win there.
Ragman versus Metamorpho.
I think I'm gonna go Ragman just because of the magic aspect.
Yeah.
Metamorpho's great, but like the elements are nothing against some like magic. It's something that can bend reality. And Ragman is like empowered by like the souls of those inside of his cloak or whatever. Bro's OP.
All right. Oh, that's a good one too.
That's a good one, yeah.
Deathstroke versus Batman Beyond, Terry McGinnis.
Terry, I think he's great. I grew up on the animated show. I'm going Deathstroke. I watched Deathstroke and Batman fight to the point where they were both almost dead, and I don't think Terry's keeping up with Prime Batman. So I'm gonna go Deathstroke.
So Dick Grayson as Batman, so like Batman and Robin, Grant Morrison, Black Mirror era, or Robin, Tim Drake, who's winning the fight?
I love Tim. I think he's so underrated. I think people like to hate on Tim, but he's easily the best Robin in terms of as being Robin. He saved Batman from himself. He's the smartest, the best detective. He is the best Robin. But he's not beating Dick Grayson. That man's thrown hands with Batman and won. Tim's losing.
Okay, King Shark, Green Arrow.
I'm so biased. I'm going Green Arrow.
I said the same thing when we put this. I was like, Green Arrow's winning that.
Yeah, because Shark is big. He's stronger. He's probably faster. He's more powerful. But Green Arrow's my goat, and I'm picking him.
Also, what is King Shark going to do when like a bomb arrow hits him? Like that's just it.
Yeah. Also, he has fire arrows, and like if you just surround him with the fire, like bro's going to dehydrate. He's a shark. So
true. There you go.
I think Green Arrow's smarter, and he's taking down villains way tougher than King Shark.
Azrael versus Poison Ivy.
Azrael has a fire sword, which isn't great against plants, but Poison Ivy has the entire green, and you can only cut so many plants at a time. I'm going Poison Ivy.
Yeah, I can agree with that. All right, here we go. All right, Booster Gold or Black Canary? Ooh, that's a tough one.
Booster or Black Canary is again dominating because the thing about Wildcat is he had no way to get to Booster, but Black Canary has the range with the Screech, which I'm sure will mess with the tech. She can also use it to launch herself up and just beat the crap out of him in the air. Um, I got Black Canary.
Yeah, that's
The only hope Booster Gold has is going back in time to the moment before she punches him in the face.
and he would get punched in the face real good by her.
Yeah, yeah, or probably a kick if I had to guess.
True, true. And yeah, he would not be happy.
All right. Ragman versus Deathstroke.
I want to give it to Deathstroke, but the magic is too OP.
Man.
It's
Yeah.
tough. I'm going Ragman. Deathstroke
Yeah.
obviously is the better combatant, but it's hard to combat Ragman.
Oh, this is a good fight. Dick Grayson Batman versus Green Arrow.
Ooh, that is a good fight.
Yeah.
He was trained by Batman. I love Green Arrow, but I think Dick gets the upper hand on him.
Oh
Ooh.
my. Yo, let's go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel that way too. I'm not
I
gonna lie.
do.
I'm not gonna lie.
I think it can go either way. I think it's way closer than if it was Bruce, but I think Dick Grayson does pull off the win.
So
All right.
two matches. Poison Ivy versus Black Canary.
Ooh,
This one's tough because I feel like the scream is really going to help disorient Poison Ivy. But again, I feel like people like to just go, "Oh, she controls plants." This big whoop, but she's like connected to the green, and she's been getting
yes.
even more powerful in continuity. She's been doing some crazy stuff, and I think just she's basically Swamp Thing, just not as monstrous in terms of power level. I got to give it to Poison Ivy.
Ragman versus Dick Grayson Batman.
I
Ooh.
mean, obviously, Batman and Dick Grayson all them have some sort of contingency for magic, but off the top of my head, I don't know what it would even be for Ragman. So in terms of just they ran into each other in the alleyway and they have to fight, I think I'm gonna inch it towards Ragman.
We got a really, really, I feel like pretty evenly matched final battle. So I'm curious of what you're gonna say here. But we got Poison Ivy versus Ragman.
That's tough because the green itself is a magical elemental force. Ragman, he can like channel you know, the fallen people that are within his cloak, which is pretty cool. But I feel like even to do that, you would need to get close, and I don't think Poison Ivy would even let him get close. Um, the green is just so overpowered. The magic is crazy. I honestly, I'm kind of stuck on this one. You know what? Just for the shout out, and people should go read her run. I'm gonna go just barely. I'm gonna give it to Poison Ivy.
When we put her on here, I was like, I feel like he's gonna pick Poison Ivy as the winner, and you did. So yeah,
I do think,
she's a great character.
yeah, and she's just insanely powerful. It's very very tough. I think people like to underestimate her because Batman's beat her so easily so many times, but she's in terms of just raw power, she's up there for sure.
So to close it out, we're kind of we're new podcasters. We're new to making content. So what is some advice you have to us, or just in general to people that want to get into doing what you're doing and making content to the community? Because for a while I was a fan. I would just watch this stuff, and then I took the leap, and we're like, all right, let's make something. Let's create something, and it's been very rewarding.
That's the hardest step is what you did is taking the leap. It's going, I'm about to put myself on the internet for everyone to see. I have to be okay with being vulnerable like that because there are going to be people who just hate on you just because they enjoy hating on you. You have to be able to separate yourself from that and look at all the positive and not just focusing on the negative because there's always going to be negative. But my biggest like three pieces of advice is like one, like be consistent in terms of content. You don't want to disappear for months and then come. It's not how you gain,
Yeah.
a following, if that makes sense. You want to be consistent so people are seeing you, they're recognizing you, they're going, oh, I need to follow this person. I've had someone be like, dude, I've watched your videos for 6 months to a year, whatever. I just now followed you. And it's because consistently putting your content in their face to the point where they're like, oh, now remember to follow. Another one is just like be yourself and put yourself into the content. People want to follow you, especially if that's what you want your content to be centered around, is who you like yourself, and not like informational content or something like that. They want to follow you, so putting all of yourself into the content is a big help. And then I think the last piece of advice is just don't compare yourself to others. There's always going to be people who are, bigger, people who might be doing it better, people who might be doing it differently. Just don't compare yourself. Do your own thing, be your own person, and try your best. It doesn't happen overnight. I didn't start seeing growth until probably almost a year in. It's just something you have to be okay with not being good at to eventually be good at.
It's very good advice. It's
Yeah.
kind of like it's a big leap, and the community so far to us has been very, very good to us.
Yeah.
We've had all positive experiences, just interviewing people and talking to people, and like we wanted to make this something that people that are into comics can watch, but also people that have no interest in comics, because we want to see what is behind comics, the people behind comics, as well as the comics themselves. And like we interviewed like a comic book store owner. We're going to interview like a comic book artist, like all that kind of stuff. Like it's very cool to see the people how these stories inspired so many different people to do so many different things, but they all have this like common love for comics, and it's just been very, very rewarding so far. And if you guys don't follow Cozmik, follow him on TikTok, Instagram, everything. He's really a wonderful dude, and his content is for. I always talk to my friends that are watching this that are not into comics. If you're not into comics, check out this dude's stuff, because it's. I feel like if you just know the characters, you'll have a great time.
Yeah.
Like that's what your content is about, just the love of these characters.
I just want to say thank you, Jess, for joining us. Thank you for being inspiring, especially within the comic book community on Comic Talk, whatever. Like, just thank you, And I'm sure like a lot of people are gonna watch this and be like, yo, like it's just definitely like epic. And definitely we were definitely like happy that you were able to just come on here, because we watch your content, your videos or whatnot.
You're a pioneer.
Exactly.
A pioneer.
So yeah,
I appreciate you. It really means a lot.
Yeah. So I mean, I just want to say just really thank you, and like for sure, good luck on that meeting tomorrow. Like, yo,
you're gonna kill it.
Thank you.
Wait to see what that becomes for real.
All right. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll see you next time. This is the Illustrated Underground signing out. Thank you again, Cozmik.
Yep.
Have a good one, everybody.
All right, peace out.